Hi and welcome to this practice. This class is intended to stretch and strengthen the hips. So we're going to begin in a child's pose. So if you're sat down, coming towards the back of your mat, knees nice and wide, big toes meet, and just allow your hips to move back and hands slide away, extending your arms, and allow your forehead to make its way onto the mat if that's available for you. It doesn't have to be. And then settle your awareness on the breath. Now, of course, this is not very comfortable for your breath. There's a bit of a compression in your thighs. But just breathe anyway. Feel the breath in the back of your body. Feel that subtle stretch in the inner thighs, part of your hips. And find ease in the pose. If you want a more subtle way, you can just bend your elbows and rest your forehead onto your hands. This might feel more comfortable, a better place to start. But we're just trying to start by tuning into the body, ready for our practice. Staying present with your breath and the sensations that you feel in the body in this moment. And then starting to bring your forehead up. Of course, if your hands are extended, bring them back. Come up into that tabletop, keeping your fingers nice and wide. Hands tucked under your shoulders, knees tucked under your hips. And here we'll do a few cat and cows. So you just take an inhale, begin to dip in the middle, looking forward, coming into your cow pose. When you exhale, round your spine, bringing your chin to your chest. Inhale. Exhale, round chin to chest, and we'll do that one more time. Really moving with intention, really feeling into your spine. And bringing yourself into a neutral position. So if you're towards the back of the mat like me, you might find you'll have to come a bit forward so that you can extend this right leg. Tuck your toes and send your hips back. Just feel that subtle stretch in your calf for a moment. And then allow your hips to come forward. This right leg comes up and begin to pulse. Just a few pulses here to activate the glute on the right. Start to feel the activation, the warming up of the glutes, starting to strengthen that part of your hip. And then stop. Allow the right leg to come to the side. Now here we send the hips back. And once you send the hips back, you feel the stretch in the inner thighs. So when we think about the hips, we're also thinking about the inner thighs, the glutes, all the hamstrings, all these are connected to the hip, and it's important that they stretch. Then bring your hips forward here, and then allow this right leg to come forward. So you come into a lunge, tuck your toes on the left, slide the left knee back. Hold for a moment so you can stretch out your hip flexors on the left. And then allow your hips to move back. So this right leg extends, toes face up, stretching out now the hamstring on the right. Remember to keep your breath deep and to stay with the sensation of the stretch. And then come back into a lunge. So here you have an option to just bring this right knee back here and then come into a downward facing dog. That was option one. Or just come straight into a downward facing dog, which you're going to do on the second side.
And here in downward facing dog, you want your hips to move back. So your spine extends, and then pedal, you bring one heel down, then other heel comes down, you start to open up the back of the legs. And then knees make their way down. Now we're gonna go for the other side. So the left leg extends, tuck your toes on the left, send the hips back, so you start to stretch out the calf on the left, just for a moment here. The whole body is connected. And then bring your hips forward, left leg comes up, we do a few pulses. So we just pulse in here, activate. So when we activate the glutes, we are strengthening them. And you know the glutes help us walk, balance, they support the lower back. So they're really, really important when it comes to strengthening and stretching them. And then allow this left leg to come to the side. Your toes will face forward, just like before. And then send the hips back. Hips move back, and as your hips move back, you start to stretch out the inner thigh on the left. Hold this for a moment, find ease in the pose. You don't want to be straining, you don't want to be tensing, you just want to find ease. Bring your hips forward, and then this left leg makes its way between your hands. Tuck your toes on the right. Now we sit better on this side. Slide that right knee back and tuck your toes. So the idea is to stretch your hip flexors. They run all the way from here, all the way to your knee. And I'm sure you can start to feel that stretch in the lunge. And then hips move back. And as your hips move back, this left leg straightens, toes face up. You stretch out the hamstring. So all these muscles connected to our hips. Just breathe. Coming back into a lunge now. This time we're going straight into a downward facing dog. Tuck your toes on the right. Lift that right knee up. Downward facing dog. But remember, you can first come into a tabletop and then downward facing dog. It's meeting your body where it's at. Don't feel you have to force. Just do what feels good. Now just allow your knees to come down. Come into a seated position, and then allowing your feet to come forward, and I'll face you so you can see this. Coming into that butterfly. So you're just holding your feet with your hands, and it's up to you how far back you want your feet to come towards you. And maybe you might allow your elbows to push against your legs. Starting to feel that stretch in the inner thighs. Breathing. Staying with the sensation of the stretch. And then here, just release. Now you're going to extend this right leg. Allow this left leg to come over. Hug your left knee with your right arm, and then extend your spine and twist. And here now we stretch out those glutes that we activated earlier. And then bringing yourself back to center. We're just going for the other side. So your left leg extends, right leg comes over. Hug your right knee with your left arm. Extend your spine. Begin to twist. And you twist, feel that stretch, that opening on the right side this time. And then bringing yourself back to center. So that was a quick strengthening and stretching of our hips. I do hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining me, and subscribe for more.